in the meeting via a remote participation platform called Zoom. I will take questions after the presentation and questions after the comments from commissioners. So the first item on the agenda this evening is a presentation by Commissioner Stu Lazarus on the maintenance of Crystal Lake and the removal of new aquatic plant life. There you go, Stu.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Stuart Lazarus. I'm Secretary of the Conservation Commission. And I'm going to make a couple of disclaimers before I start. One, this is informational only. I'm proposing that we look at this kind of remedy for the problem we have with new aquatic plants. And two, I'm not representing any of the companies that you'll see videos from. This data that I pulled out of the internet or was sent to me. So with that said, come on, machine work. Hang on a second. Okay, this is what the lakes and ponds should look like. This is an aerial shot of Crystal Lake. It was recently dredged and cleaned up. We have boat docks. We have fishing areas. There's a gazebo along the bike path. So it really is a benefit to the city and the residents. There's also a fountain in the middle. This is unfortunately how most lakes look today. A bunch of lily pads overgrowing the area. You can almost walk across them. Elginwood Pond and Mill Pond along Lowell Street. If you look at the right-hand side of the, oh, I got a mouse there now. Look at the right-hand side of the blob, the bigger blob at the top. That's the bike path. And if you look across both of those areas, that's Lowell Street heading west. The bigger blob is Elginwood Pond. The small area is Mill Pond. This is Elginwood Pond looking west. It's overgrown with all kinds of plants and it's pretty much impassable. This is the same lake, but looking on the left side. And this is Crystal Lake, and there's some plants at the end by Lowell Street that I want to get rid of. This is what's called, I gotta go back, hold on. I'm gonna present two methods of clearing the lake without dredging. First method is a mechanical harvester, and the second is a hydro rake. This is a mechanical harvester. The front end, it's got all kinds of green stuff coming up front. It's got a cutter that's down at the bottom. And hopefully I can get this to work. Although I don't think I can. All right, I can't. Come on, machine, work. The mechanical, we'll see it. This is a hydro rake. It's a floating device with paddle wheels on the side. It's got a backhoe type arm and a huge metal rake. And it can go down into the lake anywhere from, a foot to 6 or 8 feet, I think, and pull up all of the roots and all the debris that's at the bottom. It's an ideal thing for getting rid of submerged species, as well as the plants like water lilies, which have a root system that goes on forever. So Um, the advantages are it can remove plants and debris. It operates in water depths 18 inches to 10 feet. And it does remove the plants and the root system, as well as the decaying sedimentation. Um, the it does provide anywhere from 3 years or longer of nuisance plant control through only one service. It can do selective areas, and it operates from the water, so it can get up to as much of the shore as you want without having to go around the outside and destroy or disturb people's land. It offers an environmental friendly solution because we're not using chemicals, and you can preserve shoreline landscapes. And it is relatively inexpensive compared to dredging. In areas like Elginwood Pond, which is totally overgrown, there is a limited amount of area where you can bring the hydro rake material up on shore and deposit it. So I'm proposing that we look at using both the hydro rake and the mechanical harvester to the mechanical harvester has a hopper in back, so the hydro rake can deposit into there, and then the mechanical harvester can take that to shore and offload. I wish I could get the video to work, which I can't. The disposal of disposal of material can either be done by Department of Public Services or can be contracted out to a service. Let me just go back what I did. I don't know if I don't think I can get this to work. And I'm gonna hit escape.
You probably have to go right to YouTube and play it from there, but I don't want to have like commercials playing and stuff on a city, because I think YouTube makes you watch videos now and advertisements.
Right. Okay, I don't know how to do that. So the link when this is put up on the minutes will show this presentation, and the link will be there so you can go and see the video. And it's too bad I can't show it because it is kind of interesting. The mechanical harvester, we have done one use of it in Spring Pond last year or earlier this year, and it was successful. It's like an underwater lawnmower, and it literally just cuts the plants off at the lake bottom, and the conveyor belt transports all the debris up into its hopper. So it's self-contained that way. That's, the cost of doing this is far less than having it dredged, and it requires far less permits. So, and that's it.
Very good.
Anybody have any questions?
Stu, I've got one.
Go ahead.
How much do you think it would cost to do Elginwood Pond?
I have an early quote from a company that we've been dealing with, and Elginwood Pond, how do I phrase this? Elginwood Pond, Crystal Lake, and Mill Pond would hopefully come in under $150,000.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, that's
the exciting thing is that we can do this in different lakes and ponds all around the city and get them restored back to what it, clear water, no plants, and through the use of specific herbicides, we can keep them clean without
Right.
endanger. It doesn't endanger people, and it does not endanger fish or wildlife. And we saw this. The herbicides are being used in Devil's Dishful, and if you drive by, it's pretty clean. And there's no dead animals on the shore, no dead birds in it. It's working, and it doesn't affect anything except the plants.
Mm-hmm.
And the technology is there, that we have experts that we can get a hold of. It's just a matter of finding the money. Like I said in the presentation, do all this stuff. It's like a once every 3 to 5 year exercise, because you're just restoring it. Then you got to maintain it, and the maintenance is far less expensive.
Very good. Nice presentation.
Thanks.
We'll have to go on those different websites and check it out when we get a chance.
I'm sorry I couldn't get that to come up, but it's out there.
Yeah.
I'll send you guys the links anyway, or I'll have Lucia do it.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, our second item on the agenda, Attorney Ethan Salides, 137 Summit Street, Self-Storage Group LLC, specifically asking if proposed use is defined as a LUPO, land uses with higher potential pollutant loads, and/or jurisdictional to the Act or Chapter 32 of our own the PBD bylaw. Lucia, you want to talk about your comments?
Yep. So I just, there you go. Hi, Ethan.
How
Nice
are
to
you guys?
see
You
you,
know,
Ethan. Hi.
I'm not a whiz person with Zoom meetings, and I was so afraid that no one's gonna hear me or they're gonna see me. And I like to get Travis's hair if I can.
Nice to see you, Ethan.
Nice to see you guys too. I hope everybody's been well.
Yeah.
Thank you. Same here. So I don't know if anyone's gotten a chance, but Ethan did exactly what I asked. I said, if, that he needs to file some paperwork with you guys to determine whether or not this is considered a LUPL. A wetland scientist did submit a summary. And I don't know if anyone's had a chance to review any of that, or if you want me to pull it up on the screen. Or Ethan, is there anyone else here with you, or is it just you?
Oh God, I hope there's somebody with me. I was hoping that Lisa, who drafted that memo, would be part of this meeting.
Okay, what's her name? I have to look her up.
It would be,
Lisa Carrozza?
you got it.
Okay, I'm going to promote Lisa. Let's have, once I promote Lisa, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She can share her screen. I made everyone who's a panelist can share their screen. So if she has her stuff to share, otherwise I can share it for her.
Is she on?
I gotta unmute her, I guess. She should be able to unmute herself though. There
Okay.
she goes.
Hello. Hi, Lisa Carrozza with Stantec. Let's see. I'm not quite sure how I can share screen. I don't have that icon at the moment.
Down at the bottom.
Yeah, it just says start video.
Start video,
Okay.
try that.
Oh yeah, because if you have a video, if you have a camera, we do ask that you use it so that we can see who you are and that you exist.
Oh, we're actually not allowed to stream. Company
Oh.
policy. So
You can't show your video on Zoom, even though that's like the norm right now.
no.
Can you show your face on Zoom?
That's just it. We can't stream.
Ah, interesting.
I mean, I don't even do it on my own commission. It's just my block. But anyway,
Okay, so do you need me to share my screen then?
If you could, please.
Lucia, you're a real whiz at this.
Mhm.
I'm having issues with are you gonna do a presentation? I'm a little confused. What do you want me to do?
I was just going to give a little presentation. Hopefully, the commission members have read the memorandum that Lisa prepared because it's quite in depth. But you want me to tell you why we're here?
Yeah, but because I'm having issues right now anyway, so it's probably better. I don't know what I just did. Okay, there we go. Go for it. Please, Ethan, if you could give your presentation first.
All right. Just for the record, I'm Nathan Von Zelitas. I'm an attorney practicing law at 246 Andover Street, Peabody. And I am here on behalf of the North American Self-Storage Group. North American, through a subsidiary of years, are the owner of the property at 137 Summit Street. That property contains about 4.4 acres of land, and on it is a very large commercial building. It contains about 120,000 square feet of area. Back in 2017, I appeared before the city council and I obtained a special permit to renovate this building and convert its use from warehouse to a self-storage facility. It's taken about a year and a half to do that build out. We're now been open for business. And I believe it was in February of this year, I went back to the council to amend my special permit so as to allow for the outdoor storage of some RVs and boats, not to exceed 18 in number. During that permitting process, Lucia had submitted a memo to the city council stating that our proposed use might be a loophole under the CMRs. As a result of that, my special permit contains a condition that I appear or we appear before this commission to further discuss this issue. I do hope the commission did get to read my letter along with the memorandum. It is quite in depth. I'd like to at least summarize our position. We don't believe that we're one of the uses set forth in the CMRs as being a loophole. We also don't believe we're an activity as defined in the Wetlands Protection Act. The site's already paved. There is no proposed site work to be done. There's no type of earthwork that we need to perform. We also don't believe that we're a project as it's defined under the regulations, as there's just no construction that's necessary. And all we're going to do is basically just paint the striping for the parking spaces. North American does provide this service at some of their other self-storage facilities, and they do have strict rules with respect to this particular use. All the RVs and the boats that are stored on their locations need to be both registered and insured. All of the vehicles must be in a good condition and in an operable condition. They do not allow maintenance on the property of any sort. It's just storage. And all the boats that are on the property need to be on a trailer. You can't store them on blocks, etc. If you looked at our site plan, as you can see from the size of our parking spaces, they're only 12 feet wide by 25 feet in length. The only type of vehicles that are going to be stored in this property are relatively small to mid-size boats and RVs. And like I said, I do have Lisa, the drafter of the memo, here with us this evening. And basically, I'd like to answer any questions the commission would have. I'm looking for the commission to take a vote that our proposed use just is not a loophole. Thank you.
it looks like the one side of the site is an upland to it.
The right side of the site has an upland to it.
Yeah, and then on the left side, it looks like where there's a wetland on the left side. It looks like it's,
There's a brook, Michael, there's a brook that runs along the outside of the property and the wetlands. And the great majority of that rear parking area is within the 200-foot riverfront.
right, but you wouldn't have any activity behind the building there.
Not an activity, but that's where the vehicles would be parked. If you look at our site plan, you'll see the 18 spaces.
Okay.
Right, so I think that's the distinction that we're trying to make, is that the site is certainly within the riverfront. A portion of it is within the 100-foot buffer as well. But I think the distinction that we're trying to make is that there's no physical activity that would require us to come in and apply for a permit under the Wetlands Protection Act or the bylaw.
So it'd be safe to say there'd be no activity on the, I can use the rear side or
The rear of the property. The rear of the property is where these vehicles would be stored.
can you point to that with the pointer, Lucia?
You see the triangle?
Yeah,
That triangle is where the 18 spaces are.
okay. Okay. Is there any kind of barrier, a fence or anything along that parking area? It's just natural?
There's a berm all along the parking lot, and the way the property slopes, the high point is at the right rear of the property, and then it slopes down towards the left rear corner of the building, which feeds into a catch basin, which then drains overland, and the water just kind of goes overland until it finally makes it to the brook.
Right, so the entire site has a curb so that there's no direct sheet flow into the wetland. It's captured and stopped by the curb, and then it enters that one catch basin.
And those parking spaces are for cars?
Nope, the parking spaces to the rear of the building, since it's a self-storage facility,
Yeah.
we have a tremendous amount more pavement and parking than we need.
Yeah,
So what we're doing is proposing at the rear of the building would be the parking of RVs, recreational vehicles, and boats, not to exceed 18 in number.
and what about like maintenance of those vehicles or anything like that? Would that take place?
They do not allow any form of maintenance on the property. This is a desired use because many people who own a boat or an RV,
Yeah,
they don't have the room to store it at their dwelling, or if they're an apartment dweller, they certainly can't store it.
right, right. Do you have control on what type of vehicle? I mean, let's say somebody has a vehicle that is really not in good shape and is maybe
No.
leak oil or maybe,
They can't become a tenant. They inspect the vehicles, and the vehicles have to be in good operable condition, they have to be insured, and they have to be registered.
okay. Anybody else have any questions on this?
Yeah. Through the chair.
Hi, Bruce.
Yeah, through the chair. I have some personal knowledge about the site, which I don't even understand why this is even coming up, a question about it being a LEPO.
Okay,
This was I maintained that site for maybe 2 owners previous. And there was tractor trailers going in and out of the site. And the tractor trailers, a lot of times, are in a lot worse shape. There's a lot more hazard with moving vehicles and things going on than just storing whatever it is, 20 vehicles. It makes absolutely no sense to me that this possibly could be a Lepel. After that owner became, it was leased to Christian book distributors. There was tractor trailers going in and out of there all the time. Again, a lot more hazard to anything than this is possibly going to be.
Okay,
So I don't even know. I understand that Lucia said it could be possibly be a Lepel, but I don't understand how, based on just parking a few vehicles. I mean, based on versus what it was originally intended for and where the tractor trailers were going in and out of.
okay. So there's, assuming that is not considered a Lepel, then, are you okay with some of these, housekeeping practices that, Lucia had, requested or brought up?
I have not seen them yet. What are they?
Lucia, do you want to list those? You want me to read it?
It's actually right in their memo. I'll show it to you. It's right here.
Okay,
Oh, I didn't know you repeated those. Of course we don't. No, we were gonna do that anyways.
okay. All right, well then, I don't have any issues. If the commission wishes to, not consider this as a Lepel, then, with these 4 housekeeping measures added and being implemented, then, I don't think it would be jurisdictional.
Do I hear a motion?
Anybody else, any other commissioners want to speak on this matter?
No.
Is there anybody present at the meeting that outside of Ethan want to speak in favor or against this for any reason? And if we don't see anyone, then based on Bruce's testimony and experience of the site, we could assume this property would not be jurisdictional, and this site would not be considered land use with high potential pollutant load. Can I get a concurrence on this?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
We're
Aye.
gonna go ahead and do a roll call, unfortunately.
Okay.
Chairman Rizzo,
I vote in the affirmative that it is not a Lepel.
Vice Chair Comac,
Yes, I vote that it is not a Lepel.
Commissioner Vivaldi, Commissioner Wojcik,
Yes.
and Secretary Lazares.
Yes, it's not a Lepel.
Yep, and I'm gonna go back to Commissioner Vivaldi if he's there. If not, it still will pass.
I'm here. Yes,
Okay, great. So everyone agrees this is not a Lepel and you're asking them to add these housekeeping practices. I will forward that information to Allison, the city clerks, for her file.
Very good.
Good.
Thank you for your time.
All right.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Ethan.
Have a good evening.
Good to see you.
Same here. Be safe. No masks.
Okay. Okay, item 3 on the agenda is an extension request. It's a request by Joseph Salvaggio for an extension to an order of conditions for DEP file number 55-787. The order expires on October 28, 2020. The project was a 3-lot subdivision consisting of 3 single-family homes. The owner is currently completing a final home and expected to be finished shortly after the expiration date. He is asking for a 1-year extension for the PBD local ordinance. Property is known as Winona Pine Subdivision, AKA Yvonne Way, and 82 Winona Street, 86 Rear Pine, map 45, lots 15 and 21 in the city of Peabody. And I believe the staff recommends an extension for 1 year from the expiration date per chapter 32 of our local bylaw.
I did unmute, I believe I unmuted Mr. Salvaggio, 5097. Joe, are you there?
He's still muted.
Oh. Bear with me, I'm trying to unmute him. All right, he should be unmuted now.
The 5097 number does not belong to that gentleman. My apologies.
Oh, sorry, who is this?
This is Jamie Harrop. I'm waiting for item number 8.
All right, I'm gonna rename you then and mute you, sorry. I guess that means that he is not on, so it's not that big of a deal.
Can we just extend the order?
Yeah, I don't see him over here, so.
All right, so looking for a recommendation to extend the order for 1 year. And let's see, it was going to expire October 28th, 2020. So we will extend this for 1 year to a date of October 28th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Lucia?
Yep, Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Comack,
Yes.
Secretary Lazares,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi,
Yes.
Commissioner Wojcik.
Yes.
All right, it passes, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we can move on. Item 4 on the agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance. It's a request for a full certificate of compliance as made by Clarence H. Hutto for Power Group and Alan Orsi from Power Group for DP file number 55-872. Project is entitled Proctor Brook Dam Upgrades and Repairs. The address is known as 18 Crown and Shield Street, map 0745, lot 065A in the city of Peabody. Very good. And Lucia, you want to speak about these? Waiting for a memo from Bob Langley regarding the following conditions.
Oh, I did actually, Bob actually signed off on both of these. He signed off, I think, yesterday.
Okay.
I'm just trying, so right now we're on 55872, which is the title of the project was Proctor Brook Dam Upgrades and Repairs.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure I just promoted Clarence, hi Bubber, and Lauren and
Hey,
Alan.
how are y'all?
Is there anyone else I should be promoting to a panelist for this?
Matt Curtin, if he's on, and Alan Orsi, please.
Yep, I'm on.
Okay.
Matt Curtin is on by cell phone. It's the 978-604 number.
All right. I don't think I can promote him to a panelist, but I can allow him to talk. And Lauren or Bubber, did either of you guys want to share your screen? Because you should have screen sharing privileges if you want to.
The certificate of compliance that we've got, let me see if I can find. We're on the Proctor's Brook Dam.
Yep, we're on 872, the upgrade repair to the dam one.
Yeah, that one, that's been completed. They've let me, share screen.
I mean, I can share it if you want. I have everything ready. I don't think I uploaded all the pictures though, because you gave quite a lot of pictures.
Yeah, what we did is we gave Bob a copy of all of our field reports and all of the pictures that we had for the completion of the project. He has an EAP and the operations and maintenance manual completed and updated. And basically what we're looking for is a certificate of completion for the project.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so at least you guys can see Bob Langley's. It's going to take me a bit time though. Give me a second. Of course it's not working. Here we go. 872. So this is the memo that Bob Langley submitted.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like he's signing off on it. So if you guys were to give them a full certificate tonight or make that motion, I would add the condition that they, remember, I believe the city is going to be taking this over. Is that a correct?
Yes, and the city is going to be taking it over. There is chain lifts and lifting devices for the stop log system that are going to be turned over to the city, and I believe that's all that's left to do.
Bubba, this is Matt Curtin. Can
Yes, sir.
You and the committee hear me? I know I'm on the cell phone.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Matt Curtin, Wind Development, 63 Waterhouse Street, Somerville, Mass. I just want to be clear that the city has taken title to the dam parcel and possession of the, I'll call it the dam infrastructure that Bubba was just describing. So it's not a, call it conveyance to be done in the future, but it has been executed, I'd say, in approximately the last month to a month and a half.
Yeah, there were some punch list items that I saw, and those have all been taken care of, I'm assuming.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. All of those have been taken care of. Those are in the, should be in the picture files for the dam itself, as well as for the, when we get to the discharge culvert, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I don't have all the pictures. I mean, I have them, if you guys, it just was taking a really long time. I can share them if you want me to, but I'm gonna have to use the USBs. I'm not really sure how that's gonna go.
Yeah, I have the photos. I went through those. They look nice. It's not good. What I can see from the photos, the final ones. Looks nice and neat.
So I think the most important thing was that Bob Langley signed off, which he did. And then the EAP and the O&M are, if you guys are going to make a motion, I would say that the EAP and the O&M are in perpetuity, and they did submit the EAP, excuse me. They did submit that. I can pull that back up if you wanted to see those. So I don't know if anyone, I hope everyone's had time to review these. I know Bob looked at it, so that was really the important thing for me.
Yeah.
Was that Bob looked at it.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I don't really think If I'm incorrect, somebody correct me, but I believe that the deal is that the dam was reconstructed and all the work was done. And I believe the city, on completion, the city now owns it. So the O&M plan is going to be taken care of by the city.
Right.
Good luck. Am I correct if that's how it works?
Yes.
Yes, sir. This is Matt Curtin with Wynn. That's right. The O&M plan and the EAP were both turned over to the city, I believe, via Bob Langley.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So again, that's, you know, there is an O&M plan, but it's got to be taken care of by the city.
Did we get the as-built plan?
Yes, sir.
I have a question, Mrs. Stewart.
Yes, sir.
Under, and this is the city's question. Will the Conservation Commission be receiving a report from the city that the maintenance, you know, the dam has been reviewed and maintained periodically? Will we see a report quarterly, annually? Does anybody know?
Maybe never.
Well, that's the question. I mean, we should somehow or other ask that there be a report published that the dam's been maintained. We just spent a lot of time fixing it. Is there any way to do that?
Do you want me to bring the O&M plan up? Is that what you're asking?
No, I want to know that the city is going to, I'm assuming Department of Public Services is going to be the responsible party to maintain a dam, correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And if they are the responsible party, does the Conservation Commission wish to see a report every 6 months or every year that they've maintained it?
Well, we should look at the O&M plan and see what it says on reporting. I don't seem to have that.
Bubber and Alan, I suspect typically reporting goes from, call it a municipal Department of Public Works to the Office of Dam Safety, if there's any reporting involved.
Yeah, this is Alan Orsi with PAR. So the O&M does provide for a number of different kinds of inspections as well as some documentation. I just passed one of the forms or one of the schedules there. That EAP O&M was issued to DPW, DPS in a 3-ring binder so that they can make documentation of their completed inspections on the forms provided. The dam is a non-jurisdictional dam, so nothing needs to go to the Office of Dam Safety because it falls below their thresholds for jurisdiction as to what they're looking for reporting on.
That still doesn't answer my question. I mean, I understand that there is a 3-ring binder, but does the Conservation Commission, do we wish to see a document from the Department of Public Services every 6 months or once a year saying that the dam has been inspected and it meets, you know, it's fine or not? Because every time we get into these situations, we don't get involved until the dam breaks or until there's a major problem. And we don't know if it's ever been maintained.
Well, there's a schedule, so they have a.
Yeah, I understand there's a schedule, but I'm going to make the assumption that the Department of Public Services follows the schedule and the dam is maintained.
And if it's not maintained, then action need to be taken and they would have to come to us to remediate.
Yeah, but I would think that they should state, you know, it should be proactive. Do the maintenance and report that you did it.
Through the chair, I think that sounds like a overlapping theme that we don't get reports on our assets and our infrastructure that we're supposed to be taking care of as a commission. Is there any way that we can table this conversation and have it at a later date to talk about getting a report for all of our assets and infrastructure from DPS, maybe annually, maybe biannually? Because I think Stu raises a great point, but I just don't know if now is the time to be having that
Yeah.
conversation.
I think it's a good idea.
I think it's a good idea. And it certainly isn't the pair's responsibility to maintain it, so.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it's not possible for us as a commission to maintain it. It's not possible for Lucia to maintain it. It's not possible for us to have those resources without DPS. So the burden really does fall upon them.
I agree, but I would still like to see DPS report that they've done it. That's all.
All right. Well, we can do that. We could do that at another meeting.
Okay.
The conditions have been met. The as-built prepared, submitted, and the action plan and the operation and maintenance plan has been submitted. So based on that, unless there's something else I'm missing, I don't see why we can't issue certificate of compliance tonight.
I mean, you guys could, if you want to, I mean, you could make a condition that the EAP and the O&M is in perpetuity, and then add your October 31st date for any like maintenance logs.
Yes, I would make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance with the in perpetuity for the emergency action plan and the O&M plan. And I don't understand the October 31st date. What's that?
That's the date you guys have set that anyone with stormwater features. So I don't know if that would fall under this, but it sounds like you guys are saying you want documentation from DPS. The only way, I mean, it's how, if you just want to, make a motion for the full CC and the O&M and the EAPs in perpetuity and whatever it says, I mean, for some reason, I can't pull that section up. I'm having issues running the meeting and trying to review it again. I just was kind of hoping someone else reviewed it with me. I just don't want to do it while everyone's watching. So if you guys want to give me a second, I'll go in and find the exact page. I mean, I don't know what the question is that you guys are asking. If you want DPS to submit reports once a year, twice a year, put that as a condition in the order and the certificate. But I'm not really sure. I mean, I think DCR checks this anyway. So if this dam starts to fail, I don't know if someone from PAIR can touch on that. I know DCR, I would imagine, is this a DCR dam, or someone just said that it didn't meet the threshold?
Yep, Alan Orsi from PAR. So it falls below the size threshold that DCR pays attention to it. It's considered non-jurisdictional. So while they maintain records of the dam in their inventory, they don't do any regulatory compliance on it. They will come out and inspect it if you guys have a concern with it, but they won't proactively look at it without a request coming in from the city or another concerned element.
Yeah. The EAP does require a monthly inspection log to be filled out. And then a biennial inspection checklist to be completed. That is on, let's see, that is on page 63 and 64 of the EAP. Has two forms that are supposed to be filled out periodically. And
thank you.
those documents could be sent to y'all by the Public Service Department, or made available if they have them online.
So, I mean, if
Chairman
you
Rizzo,
guys-
this is, oh, excuse me, Lucia, I'm sorry. I
Go
didn't
ahead.
mean to interrupt you. Chairman Rizzo, this is Matt Curtin with Wind Development. Forgive my ignorance with maybe how this works, but if we issue conditions with yes, ultimately who's on the hook, who's responsible, right? Like it's Win and Par appearing here before you, but we no longer own the dam, and we wouldn't be in a capacity to make these inspections and report to you. So if the reporting didn't occur, wasn't timely, you know, or for the lack of a better term, who's on the hook?
Right. I think we just need to be, sounds like everything's in place for the inspections biannually, and it would probably be a good idea if we could get a copy of the inspection maybe annually. So if they look at the dam and they do the biannual inspection, maybe once a year they could just send us a copy of the checklist. And so that we know, we show a record in our files that everything's been, is running okay. I don't know if that needs to be conditioned. That's not tonight. I just think that it's in place. The task is in place. I would recommend that we just issue the certificate of compliance and then later speak with public service and say, could we please get a copy of that report? Your inspections at least once a year for this site.
Yeah, so through the chair, the way I understand is if you guys put that the EAP and the O&M are in perpetuity, first of all, if the city already owns this land and when development does not own it anymore, it falls under the city, whoever, I'm assuming engineering department. So that would not put the onus on Wind Development to do this. It
Right.
would, it goes with whoever the chain of title is, this new. So as long as the O&M and the EAP say that these things are supposed to be done, all I have to do is go, if you guys make the motion and it's added to the certificate and I keep it on file, then if someone, you know, a year from now, you guys want documentation, then I would write to Rob Labassiere and ask him for some documentation. I mean, it's not always easy. I'm still waiting 30 days later about, you know, something that happened. I'm still waiting to get some information about Travis drove by and saw a water main break. So, I mean, in a perfect world, hopefully they get us the paperwork we need. But it is difficult, unfortunately.
Okay, well, again, I stand by my suggestion that we issue the order, add the emergency action plan, the O&M plan in perpetuity, and on a different format or different form, we can request a copy of that report sometime in the future. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Who made I'll second it.
Or somebody should make the motion and somebody should second it.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo,
Yes?
Vice Chairman Gomack,
Yes.
Secretary Lazares,
Yes.
Commissioner Wojak,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so that is a full certificate with the O&M and the EAP in perpetuity.
Great. Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman and Lucia, I do have some business that I must tend to, so I will be leaving at this point.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Okay. So Travis left the meeting at 8:04. Okay. Move on to item number 5. I'm probably the exact same outcome. Request a full certificate of compliance is made by Clarence C. Hutto, Power Corporation, and Alan Orsi, Power Corporation. DP file number 55-876. The project was entitled Proctor Brook Culvert Repairs, previously known as Tannery Project Discharge Culvert Repairs. The address is known as 18 Crown and Shield Street, map 0745, lot 065A in the city of Peabody.
This is the discharge culvert that actually runs underneath the tannery building, down what is the exit driveway to Crown and Shield Street, and underneath Crown and Shield Street, it was the old tannery water supply system that's underground there. Underneath the tannery building itself, there were a lot of old arched brick cistern floor framing systems that had deteriorated. That we put in HDPE piping from the dam discharge underneath the building and filled that area with concrete to rectify a lot of settlement problems that had occurred in the building. And further downstream from that, we made repairs and inspections, opened up several access manholes that had been previously covered up during earlier construction to give access back into that area that is needed to service anything that's down there. Cleared a very large timber blockage that was on one side of the two-sided culvert that runs underneath the property between the building and Crown and Shield, and inspected and looked at the granite block beams that are underneath Crown and Shield Street originally. All that's been completed, and all that has been opened up and restored. And that's what this is. This is something that was added on to the project that we discovered when we went down underneath to look at it. And there's a lot of pictures. The certificate of compliance for that has all the field reports in it that are sequential and can show you what was down there and what we wound up with when it was done.
Yeah, I remember you folks came to us and made a presentation previously and showed us all the photos and what was happening in there. And I have a copy of the field reports and photos. And I believe was the as-built submitted?
There is a sort of a general arrangement that sort of describes what's down there. There really wasn't an as-built to do because most of the construction work that was done in front of the building to get access in there and underneath the building. And most of that basically got filled up with concrete. There was an access hatch closer to where the stack used to be that had been there for a very long time that had fallen in and dropped a lot of material in there. They scraped out as much of that material as they could get, and we closed that hole back up too. That was actually a pretty dangerous condition that people just kept throwing mulch on top of. But that's been fixed as well. And the access hatches on Crown and Shield up on the property and just next to Crown and Shield were restored so that access back down in those areas could be made again.
Okay. All right. again, I don't have any concerns. There's a lot of work was done. And it looks like in the photos, it looks very thorough.
Yeah, they did a good bit of work down there.
Yeah. So it says we're waiting on a memo from Bob Langley regarding anything. Is that
Yep, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen.
okay?
Bear with me though, because not too savvy tonight with this for some reason. Oh, I guess I do have all the pictures. Oh, no, I don't. Forget it. I thought I had a memo from Bob. Oh, here he is. It looks like it's the same memo. I'm gonna assume that they're two different memos because he sent me two different subject lines, same memo though. So, I mean, really, this is over my head. This is something that engineering needed to sign off on. I wouldn't really know whether or not it was done correct or not anyway. So if we have a memo from Bob Langley, he's going to be taking it over anyway. So if there's anything wrong, it's going to be on his plate.
Yeah. Okay, in that case, I think we should move forward and issue a full certificate for item number 5 for DEP file number 55-876. If I could get a motion to issue a full certificate compliance.
So moved.
And a second? Anyone?
Is that with the O&M in perpetuity? I believe this also has an O&M.
If no one seconded it, I'll second it.
So is that the motion, just a full certificate? I
Oh,
thought there was an O&M plan.
There
on
is.
this.
There's an O&M plan. We can just, we'll do the same thing. We'll put the O&M plan and the emergency action plan with the full certificate in perpetuity.
Great. I'm going to go ahead and do a roll call then.
Lucia, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Matt Curtin with Wind. Bubba,
Yes.
Are you still on the line?
Yes, sir.
I don't believe is there an O&M plan specific to the culvert? That is our property, not the.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Not for the discharge culvert, no.
Yes, I opened the wrong, I apologize. I opened the wrong file.
This is the combined, this has nothing to do with the discharge pipe?
The O&M, the O&M manual is for the dam itself.
Yeah.
Okay, is there going to be any maintenance needed on this?
For the discharge culvert?
Yes.
Shouldn't be. They cleaned it all out and opened it back up with the access hatches in there. There really isn't, I mean, it's a culvert. There really isn't a whole lot of maintenance to do. Go down there every once in a while and look for old bottles would be about the only thing I would suggest.
I think, Lucia, an important distinction too is the discharge culvert is under the building and on our property. The dam is on an entirely separate parcel that has been conveyed to the city.
So if the pipe gets clogged, whose responsibility will it be to clear it out?
The discharge pipe is ours as the property owner.
Mm-hmm.
But if the city's not cleaning the trash at the grate in front of it, then we would request that DPS come out and clean that out because that's at the dam.
Right. Well, I think we can see that the work was done. So I don't see any reason why we can't issue this certificate of compliance.
Well, you already made a motion and I can go ahead and do a roll call. I don't know if you wanted to share the pictures, Mike, because I didn't put them on the computer. I didn't have enough space.
Well, I don't know if I know how to do that.
If you
No,
go
'cause
down to the
I-
bottom, that says,
Well,
I mean,
it's-
only if you want to.
No, I can't because I have two computers open.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so my computer, I have, my PC is not connected to the Zoom meeting. So I'm actually, I can turn my monitor around and show you. I wonder if I could do that. Let's see.
But regardless, the motion's on the floor. You guys already made it. And if no one wants to add to it, I think I was just mistaken because I thought the EAP and the O&M, I thought I got 2 copies, but I also looked at it like a few weeks ago. So I might just be forgetting things today.
So we have a motion to issue the full certificate. Did somebody make the motion?
Stu,
Yes.
and it was seconded by Bruce.
All right. All in favor? You're gonna call? the
Yep.
roll?
Chairman Rizzo,
Yes?
Vice Chairman Comack,
Yes.
Secretary Lazares,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi, Commissioner Vivaldi,
Come on.
Mike
Yeah.
Vivaldi.
Oh,
I'm not sure. It says he's on. Unfortunately, the motion will not carry without his voice. And the meeting will have to be over if he's gone because we don't have a quorum.
now we have to wait. Where is he?
I have no idea. I'll text him.
Okay.
I just sent him a text, so he'll probably come back. Although if he hasn't been listening, I don't know how legal that is. I just tried to call him, and that was me calling him, and you heard that ringing. So
Yeah.
I think we might have lost him. I don't know what's going on. At this point, we can't have the meeting though.
I'm sorry, my
Oh.
mistake.
Hi, Mike.
Sorry.
Did you hear all that?
Yes.
Okay, so you were the last one. So if you say yes on the full certificate for 55876, it is unanimous.
Yes.
Great.
Okay. All righty. Well, thank you. You're all
Thank
set.
you, Pear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
much.
everyone.
Night.
All right. Well, let's try to all be in attendance here if we can. Yeah, item number 6 is going to be continued. There was a request for a full certificate by Curtis Young, but there's information that has not been provided, and they have asked that we continue this. So we'll continue this to our next meeting. Is that correct, Lucia? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I need a motion and then I have to do a roll call again.
So a motion to continue.
To
Item
continue?
number 6.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay. All in
And
favor?
I'm gonna do a roll call again. I'm sorry, I was told by legal counsel I have to do a roll call.
That's okay.
So Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Comack,
He's muted.
Yes.
Secretary Lazaris,
Yes.
and Commissioner Vivaldi.
Yes.
Okay, so it'll be continued until our October meeting, which we'll discuss that at later on tonight. Me and Mike talked about it earlier.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
All right. Okay, item number 7. It's a public hearing on notice of intent submitted by Hayes Engineering for owners SSSD LLC, care of Sonny Kinley, and the applicant is S&S Consultants, care of Sid Nurizman. I don't know if I said that right. The proposed project is to perform various activities related to the creation of a cemetery, including grading, retaining wall construction, path installation, and landscaping. The property is known as 530 Lowell Street, map 35, lot 27A in the city of Peabody.
I believe I made everyone who was part of this a panelist. I put Tony Capichetti, Attorney Kilty, and then there was someone else labeled Hayes Engineering. Am I missing anyone else, Tony?
No, that's it. I apologize for being up twice. I have all the plans on my work computer I'm remoted into. That's the Hayes Engineering one, and then I'm on my cell phone here so you can see the video as well.
Okay, great.
So yes, if you don't mind, I'll share the screen on the Hayes site and put up a quick presentation in the plan.
Okay.
So here tonight for 530 Lowell Street, a DEP file number was issued. It's 5500878. This is a vacant parcel of land located next to the Bethel Cemetery, right here at 530. It is east of I-95 on the southerly side of Lowell Street, crossing the Dunkin' Donuts at the intersection of Bourbon Street. As already stated, the applicant's SS Consultants, owners SSD LLC, and the applicant's here tonight. He proposes to develop about 33,600 square feet of the 51,535 square foot parcel to be used as a cemetery for traditional Muslim burials. Their current cemetery is nearing capacity. Some of you may remember I was in front of the board in advance of filing with the City Council special permit. We wanted to discuss with all the boards so they could issue comments. That was back in November 2019. We kind of discussed the Muslim burial ceremony, how the bodies are essentially buried as is, and potential spread of contaminants where it's between 6 and 10 feet when disposing of a body of that mass. So what the applicant's proposing to do is construct 996 burial plots, a grass parking area, and a small shed. Will provide 25 feet of non-disturbance around the bordering vegetated wetland on site, which runs to the south and east. And then to maintain that 25-foot non-disturbance, it'll be delineated with a 3-foot high retaining wall. It'll be a gravity block type system. And there'll be some minimal walking trails that are proposed. And the majority of the parcel will be covered in dense grass. Just as an update, we received some comments from Department of Public Services on September 14th. We responded to them this morning, but obviously those comments and response weren't in time for tonight's agenda, but I did want to make the board aware that we are working through those DPS comments. Just to go back over the plan, again, this is Lowell Street to the north and east. The applicant's proposing to construct a hedgerow along the existing sidewalk on Lowell Street. A small staircase that'll access a 2-foot wide path that will run along the retaining wall. That'll allow someone to walk from the outside, and then a larger 3-foot wide path adjacent to the existing paved road. There's been some kind of discrepancy. We had originally called this a gravel road. I went back and looked at the field notes, and when they were plotted up, there is a row of gravel that runs to the edge. And I think whoever plotted it kind of misunderstood that the entire access road was gravel. There's actually just about a 1 or 2 foot wide shoulder that runs along the outside of the edge of pavement. So the proposal calls for just leveling out this area and having some grass parking with a shed that would be used for kind of gathering and meeting, as we've discussed. It'd be kind of like a lean-to situation, just to provide some temporary shelter prior to the burial ceremony. There are a number of monitoring wells that were installed on the site previously, not necessarily by us, but they were existing. We were able to open the caps, and we logged the monitoring well elevations, observing between 64 and 67 for water levels in September. Again, providing a 25-foot non-disturbance area. I believe Lucia was out there with Libby from our office to walk the line. There was some discussion of some of the flags. You'll see wetland flag 13 has been moved off of its flag location in the field, and it's a pretty basic project. Again, although some of the trees will be cleared, it'll be graded at a gradual slope and grassed, so we're not anticipating any major increases of runoff from the site. So, I can leave the plan up, but if the board has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
There's just a couple. In the notice of intent, looks like you've provided all answers to all the questions that were brought up. If we issue an order of conditions, to be conditions for no chemicals in the burial site, and not sure whether or not there would be wood coffins, but if required, I don't know if that means if anything special has to happen, as long as there's no chemicals associated with those. You've shown the erosion controls. I had a question about with the erosion controls. The notice of intent states that there should be a 5-foot area between the toe slope and the erosion controls. And I'm not sure whether we have that 5 feet. I think we only have like 2 feet or 3 feet. And in doing so, you noted in your notice of intent that would be 2 rows of the straw wattle barrier if 5 feet wasn't provided.
Yeah, we could.
Can you respond to that?
Yeah, we could place a double row, and what I've been seeing a lot of as well is the in situations like this, the compost wattles tend to be a bit heavier and don't move. If that's something that the board would be willing to entertain, we could use that in its place as well.
What do you think, Lucia, on that?
I think on my notes, I don't think I got an erosion detail sheet yet. I might have though, but I just have it written down that I did receive the revised plan, but I didn't get an erosion detail sheet. I'm fine as long as there's no hay bales used. I mean, I think Bruce might have, he has a certain type that he likes. I'm fine with any of the compost logs as long as they have a biodegradable cover. Like some of them have plastic and then the plastic just ends up staying there. Some of them have like solar degradable meshing. So I would say if we're gonna use, I would like to know what it is, and definitely I would put a condition in no plastic.
Yeah, that's anything that we would use would be either be photodegradable or compostable itself. We wouldn't do anything plastic that we'd have to go back. The beauty behind those compost rolls is that you can leave them in place and let them just degrade, and they still provide erosion control protection even after the outside matrix that holds that compost wood chip material together goes, because it's just a little bit heavier of a material than the straw wattles. So they tend to last and stay, and then they ultimately become dirt or compost at the end of their useful life. So in place of, where we're not 5 feet away from the toe slope, something heavier like that, I'd be more than happy to, as a condition, provide a detail or a cut sheet.
Okay. So once you've done that, then we should be able to go out and check it out and make sure that they're in.
Correct.
Okay. I know we all kind of do this from time to time, but I noticed that there's, with regard to the wattle barriers and so forth, there's installation requirements are in accordance with the town of Wakefield.
That was probably a leftover from cut and paste, but
not a big deal. Just
we'll go with whatever is most stringent, City of Peabody or town of Wakefield.
All right. Does anybody have any other comments? There's no actually. It's all there's no roads or anything in the site. It's just.
Nope. They'll start at the far end and work their way out, and they'll essentially prep a section at the time. Tree clear and prep a section at a time. They're figuring that they've got good 10 to 20 years to fill this facility.
Yeah.
So they'll, open up what they need to, and there'll probably be some temporary erosion control as they clear and work their way out.
Anybody have any comments? Anybody from the board have any comments on this?
I have one, but it's like I would like to get a site visit, before we want to see what. Well, I would like to accompany Lucia when she looks at the erosion control.
Okay.
Did anyone want to do a site visit? And I asked them to stake out the 25 no disturb zone. I mean, the site is covered in poison ivy.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest to get through, but I looked at every single flag with Libby. Bless her soul. She is a good woman. She had a bad knee that day too. I did want to go over a couple things.
Okay.
So is there going to be room to build the retaining wall with how you have, can you zoom in on the plan a bit?
Possibly, hold on.
Yeah, the retaining wall's got an elevation, top of wall of 70 feet.
So for the most part, the wall's at grade in this area here. Then it drops down to elevation 69 here. So it's a good portion of it is just to kind of delineate that limit of work. It does retain down here where we're again 69, and then again it would just be kind of decorative.
Well, I'm looking at the plan, it looks to me like the wall is not continuous around the whole site. It's only for that section at the bottom of the stairs.
Oh, I apologize. I was looking at the.
It stops at the end of at the beginning of the second bend. Is that correct?
That's correct. I apologize. I was looking at the path here on my computer. So the wall does run next to the stairs. So it's elevation 70. It's a foot high in this area here. Gets to 2 feet to 3 feet, maybe 3.5, and then
and you're back to basically
3,
zero.
2, and 1. Yep, and then back to 0. And then we have the stone dust path.
Right. Okay.
I just had some other like nitpicky comments, and then I wanted to touch on the DPS memo real quick. So in my memo to you guys, I did ask them to revise the plan, which they gave me. I still believe we need an erosion detail sheet though, depending on, they can give us a couple ideas. I already received the narrative, and I would highly suggest, if you guys are going to make a motion tonight, that you add that narrative about the Muslim burial process, which is no chemicals, and if they need to use a coffin, it would be just a pure wood coffin with no chemicals in it. The narrative's pretty neat if you want to read it, if you guys have had a chance to read it.
I did read it.
They gave me a revised plan showing the retaining wall, a revised plan showing the gravel area paved correctly, not being gravel. One question, are the proposed parking spaces going to be grassy area, pavers, asphalt, paved, or gravel, etc.? It says grass, but I want to make sure it's existing grass, or are you going to keep it grass?
We're going to keep it grass. So we'll put some dense grade down about 4 inches below, then loam and seed on top of it. So it does have some bearing capacity, but it'll be a pervious grass surface on top.
So it won't be those little like pavers that have the grass growing out of them?
No, not the turf blocks. It'll just be grass. They're not anticipating these ceremonies are usually sparsely attended only by the immediate family. So you're looking, 7, 8 people tops. And it's a very brief ceremony. So we'd be looking at parking maybe 3 or 4 cars at a time, but we're providing extra spaces to.
But each burial site has a marker, is that correct?
Yes, it does have a kind of like a brass marker on the ground. But I would think that's kind of unconnected impervious given the small size of it.
Okay.
at the last meeting, or with the meeting that the applicants were present at, Commissioner Wojcik stated, and he's gone now, he was feeling sick, so he didn't want to stay on all night. So this is up to you guys since he's already logged off. He did ask that they remove some plots along the southwest portion of the site near wetlands flag 9. It looks like over. I think it's where it says 14 plots and 22 plots. I think he didn't want that. He wanted to see maybe that last 14 eliminated. But that's up to you guys if you think that this is a good use for the site and that this number of burial sites isn't too excessive.
Did he recall why there, or why he would want those 14 taken out?
I believe it was just because see how they jut out. I think that was it, but I really, without him here, I don't recall exactly what he said. Yeah. I just know he wanted some of it to be scaled down a bit, but you know, by logging off, he kind of lost his voice.
Yeah, I personally don't, unless it's because of the slope. 69, 70.
So that would be a fill condition. We'd take that small hill down that exists there. But I do remember the conversation, and he just seemed to think that the benefit for the amount of work wasn't there. And we did speak to the applicant about it. Unfortunately, grounds for cemeteries is kind of at a premium. As you know, just about every piece of vacant land is being built on commercial, residential wise. So every additional space really does matter for this use.
I can't speak for Travis, but I don't see the need to take those 14 plots out. I don't know what the rest of the commission feels.
How is that area accessed? Just walking?
Yeah.
Just a walking trail that runs around the edge. It'll be a stone dust trail, so it contrasts with the grass and delineates kind of the edge of where we're existing. And it would just be, when they go to do the burials, it would be accessed by a rubber tire machine over the upland area outside the 25-foot buffer, or 25-foot no disturb.
Some more nitpicky comments, and this is just a comment. I don't. It's up to you guys if you want to go anywhere with it. I checked every single flag with Libby. She was very patient with me, and flags 10 and 11 seemed inaccurate to me. If you look, you can see the topography. Is it worth it changing it? Probably not. I just felt like the wetlands were a little bit closer, but that was just a nitpick for me. And then, so Bill Stansfield did submit a bunch of comments, about 5 of them. And one of them was that he asked the applicant shall perform a number of soil test pits and provide DPS with the results. I did get a memo today from Peter Ogren, and he's basically saying that test pits were done by the previous owner in May of 2009. So do you guys feel that, and Bill, but by the time we got this memo, I believe Bill was already closing up for the day. He goes home at 3, and he wasn't going to have time to review this anyway. So I don't know if their memo that they submitted today, I mean, I barely even looked at the memo today. So do you guys feel that test pits from 2009 are, adequate?
I would tend to concur that they're fine.
I think I think it's significant enough. 11 years, 10 or 11 years is.
Well, I mean, if the groundwater, I mean, we really need to know where the groundwater is because
Right.
don't we need like buoyancy calculations if bodies are going to start popping up? Isn't that a possibility?
Less so with the no coffin burial. It's just essentially the body, which is about 70% water. So the human body won't float up. The buoyancy calculation comes in kind of more the burials that I'm familiar with. Done a number of cemeteries in Malden for the city of Malden. The larger concrete vaults that you put underground, you run into the issue because if you don't make sure that there's a weep hole in them, those will float and they will rise to the surface. And I've actually seen it happen empty, just the empty vault, but that'll shock you when you're walking through the cemetery and you see a big heave in the ground. Here, as I said, the higher water table seems to be holes 4 and 5, which are out towards the road here. And it makes sense because the grade is rising. As you get closer to the wetlands, monitoring well 1 and 2. And as I said, there are monitoring wells installed there, so we can monitor them at any time. You're at 64, 65. So at 1 and 2, your ground grade is 73. You'd be down 6 feet, so the elevation 67. So you'd be just above the water table that's been observed.
What's the wish of the commission?
I don't think it's really a concern.
I don't think so much either.
Did you want to open it to members of the public?
Yeah. Well, is anybody else going to speak on this regarding the monitoring wells and the groundwater from the commission?
I'm okay. I thought at first I thought it was significant, but if you guys feel it's all right, I'll give to you.
Is there anybody who's in attendance of the meeting who wants to speak on this matter?
I see a person named Benjamin. I am going to allow Benjamin Tyman.
Okay.
Benjamin, you're on the floor if you want to speak.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, thank you. My apologies, took me a second to unmute. So my name is Ben Tyman. I'm with the law firm Tyman, Davis & Duffy in Boston. And I represent the direct abutter, George Bello of PK Realty Trust at 532 Lowell Street. I'm here just to observe. This is where learning about the facts of the proposal for the first time and just the sort of expected concerns, thank you, expected concerns of a direct abutter as to what's proposed. I wasn't going to comment at all because I really was just here to learn and to listen, and then I'll be making some requests for copies of some of the documents that have been discussed today by Tony at Hayes and others. But I do think that given that Mr. Stansfield had, it looks like 5 different questions that he had, and that Peter Ogren, sent a memo, but it doesn't appear that those have been analyzed yet by Mr. Stansfield, including on the question of the 2009 test pits, that I'd respectfully request that the board the commission not act this evening, but instead wait for the feedback from Mr. Stansfield. And, we'd also like an opportunity to look at some of the memoranda that have been mentioned, including the September 14th memo that Mr. Capicetti mentioned, and so on. So that's just my request, that we might be given the opportunity to look at those things, and that the commission might benefit from Mr. Stansfield's comments on Peter Ogren's letter.
Well, considering seeing that, I would I guess we could hold off on getting some feedback from Mr. Stanfield on the test pits.
I appreciate that, if that's the commission's pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
I'll put that to the commission. Do you wish to allow some time for Bill Stanfield to be able to respond?
May I speak? Am I live?
Hello?
Hello?
Sounds like Jack Kelty.
Yeah, it's Jack Kelty.
Hi, Jack.
I was hoping the matter would not be continued to our next meeting, in as much as City Council has delayed their activity on this while we waited for a meeting to be before the commission. The filing has been before the commission for actually an extended period of time while we waited for to work out details with respect to COVID. I thought that the 5 comments from Mr. Stansfield were pretty benign, and mostly we're looking for additional test pits. It turned out that we were able to provide the results of 5 monitoring wells that are, when we say that they're old, they were dug some time ago. They are still out there and capable of being monitored. And our client, our engineering firm, Hayes, has provided the results of those 5 under date of September 9th, 2020 in their revised plan. So for this matter to go to a next meeting provides a considerable hardship economically with respect to buyer and seller. The council had hoped to act next Thursday if this commission was finished with its deliberations.
I would tend to agree. I'm trying to. There's so many documents. I thought I also read. Is he? Yeah. Yeah, it says that the notice of intent filed in May, soil conditions were confirmed by an on-site soil testing on May 19th, 2009.
Through the chair.
Yes.
What I guess my question is, my question is, the roadway into the parcel, there's actually a hedgerow of trees between 532 and this parcel. Is there any reason that they're going to be cutting down those trees or touching that part of the property?
In so much that they're on our parcel, the plan is to provide some parking spaces in that area. We could entertain kind of land banking the first 5 spaces, and then doing our work further towards the back to provide a little bit better buffer. And if we find out that the parking doesn't work, go back and use these. But if we can get away with the lesser number of spaces, to try and assist in providing some additional screening, I think that's something we could consider.
I guess I'm asking the wrong question. I'm looking at a street view of 532, and then the entrance to the, I guess it's to the entrance to the existing cemetery in the back, and there's a paved road. The parcel we're talking about is to the left of the road, looking from the street, correct?
Correct, although our proposed grass parking area is to the right of that road, where the mouse is moving right now. And this is the paved road. Or are you talking about the actual entrance to Flow Yoga?
.532 is where there used to be a subway there. And then as you drive down, right next to it, there's a roadway that goes into the back. I believe it's to a roadway to an existing cemetery in the back.
True.
Okay. There's a hedgerow of trees that's on that property. Is that hedgerow gonna be removed?
Sorry, I lost yeah, so that hedgerow that you're talking about is in this area here where I'm moving the mouse around. The property is about 20, our property line is about 20 feet east of that driveway.
I understand. So you're saying that you're gonna remove that?
That's correct. Now, as I said, maybe we could look at trying to land bank and get away with 10 spaces and saving the first 5 to at least carry the buffer along up by the building.
Well,
is the abutter actually looking for them to remain or to be replaced? Because it's not an issue for the Conservation Commission.
right. I don't believe it has anything to do with I don't believe it has anything to do with a wetland issue.
Is it Bruce we're speaking to?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, Jack, I would be, you have a butter that's questioning these. Certainly if you cut down that hedgerow, it affects his property. I guess it's not a wetland issue, but I would vote right now, I would put it to a vote right now, except that I don't think I think that you're affecting his property by cutting that hedgerow down. So at that point, I'm not, even though it's not a wetland issue, I'd rather just delay it for a month so we get what we want, what we need.
Yeah, but the delay doesn't go to the issue of the hedgerow. They're not related. I know Benjamin said he wanted to review documents. He thought that the delay would be in the best interest so we could address certain concerns that Mr. Stansfield had expressed. And if the hedgerow is an issue for the neighbor unrelated to Concom, I mean, we could, we can entertain a fence or some kind of replacement vegetation. But
right.
we're not really hearing from anybody what the neighbor would like.
So if I might, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Benjamin Timon. I mean, we are concerned about the hedgerows removal, and it's not just Mr. Stansfield's opportunity to look at the 5 questions. And I know that Mr. Keelty said that, or somebody said, I believe it was Mr. Keelty, that
Yep.
5 questions were benign or innocuous, but there was at least one that I think relating to, the age of the test pits that seemed to be not benign or innocuous. The other thing is that Mr. Capuchetti mentioned in his PowerPoint a letter from DPS that just came in on Monday that Hayes was still responding to. So there's a lot of, I understand, the coronavirus delayed this and that perhaps the original application's been in for a while, but there's a lot of information that has just flown in the last few days that hasn't been, adequately analyzed by the experts within the city or their analysis of the responses to their questions. So we're sort of in the same boat where we think it would be appropriate for us to be able to look at these new materials and to be able to assess, what concerns we may have.
If I could ask a question to Jack.
Sure.
Relative to, is it my understanding that Bill Stanfield's question or primary concern is the groundwater, the
Yep.
current groundwater conditions pertaining to the monitoring wells? I mean, the soils don't change. So the soils, if the soils
Right.
were done 10 years ago, the soils are the soils. They haven't changed unless the site was dug up and something else was either dumped there or something changed. And that hasn't happened. My question would be relative to the monitoring wells. The response from Hayes Engineering to Mr. Stanfield on the 5 questions, it's noted that groundwaters have been added. Groundwater wells have been added to the plans based on 5. Groundwater has been added to the plans based on 5 monitoring wells, which currently exist on the site. So my question is there data, current data, as to the groundwater in those monitoring wells in any of the reports? Hayes responded that there's monitoring wells. Have they been checked? And see.
Yeah, so I apologize. September 9th, 2020. So this revised plan that I'm showing on the screen, we actually listed what was the observed water table in each of those wells, and then we added the locations to the plan in response to that. And just one other clarifying point for Mr. Timon, the September 14th memo that was received, that is the Stanfield memo with the 5 comments. There's no other additional memo that's outstanding.
Yeah, I'm looking at that memo. So he has responded to the 5 comments. So as far as you can go back to those grades on the plan with the monitoring well elevations. So they are vary between elevation 63 and 67. And let me look at my site plan.
67 is monitoring well 5, which is kind of higher up the hill. The monitoring well 4 is the next one, which is on top of kind of right on the side of a knoll here. It's about 2 feet higher than the bulk of the site. Then
well 2, 65
right
and
here.
a half.
1 being the lowest as it gets closest to the wetlands.
All right. So I think that one should not be an issue. Water's down some 6 feet or more. I'm doing the math correctly. Monitoring well 1, elevation 63.9, and that's around station 70 and a half.
Correct.
That's down 6.5 feet, so that would not be an issue, I would think. Monitoring well 3 is outside the burial area. Monitor well 5 is, let's see, whoops,
In the roadway.
Sorry. Yes, monitoring well 5 is at 67 with an existing grade of 72.5. So that one's down 5.5 feet here, but it is kind of up on a.
yeah, 73.
And that's in our roadway.
Correct.
Still 6.5 feet. Still 6.5 feet. And 1204.
4's down. Here you're looking at 70, 71, 72. That's showing an elevation of 73. It's kind of up on a little mound.
Yeah, that's in the mound, but the grades be around. Is there a proposal? These are existing contours on here, though, correct?
Mm-hmm.
The lighter shade are existing contours. These dark shades with the circle and the number are the proposed.
All right, right. So 7170.
Yeah, so you're probably looking at 70.5 for an existing.
That one's a little close. That one's down 5 feet.
Correct.
That's down about 5 feet. That kind of covers it, right?
Good.
So I think, I mean, my observation would tell me that most of the whole cemetery, that groundwater is about 6.5 feet down. Bodies are down about 5 feet. That one monitoring well up near the street is pretty close to 5. So, well,
And if there's concern on this hole here, we could pull the 71 back and then wrap it back up and around to here to add an extra, 8 inches or so.
Yeah.
Covering.
All right. So if I think if we did that, at least my understanding, looking at this, I would think that it would not be an issue. I don't know how the commission feels about. Based on that, I don't see any reason why we can't close this tonight. But I'll take some input from the commission and how you feel. I know Jack had offered potentially looking at the hedgerow that Bruce has some concerns about, that maybe we could do some supplemental planning or screening. And I don't know if that satisfies Bruce's concerns. What do you guys think?
So just in summary, that we just basically, the monitoring wells are from what were they monitoring? Like what was it? Is it some sort of contamination in the past?
No, they just groundwater. Just been measuring groundwater.
And they were first placed there in conjunction with an effort to put a CVS on this site. And that was why they were originally placed there in 2009. But the readings with respect to groundwater elevation were done using those wells, but they were reread, if you will, on September 9th of this year.
So I think the site is okay. And if we pull that contour, if we pull that 71 contour out, we can pick up a little extra, almost a foot. And that means that that I could see, unless I did my math wrong, that all the locations of the plots would be in excess of 5 to 6 feet down. I'm sorry, that the groundwater would be 6 or 6.5 feet down, and I think the bodies are buried at around 5 feet. I understand according to the procedures. What do you think, Bruce?
Well, strictly from a wetlands point of view, I can't see one reason to hold this up.
Yeah. And if Jack's willing to have some discussions with the abutter and see what maybe the concerns are, maybe that's something that could be resolved fairly easily.
Sure, I'd be happy to reach out, yes.
I defer to you, Bruce, on that matter. You're muted.
So Chairman Rizzo?
Yes.
So I just want to, I'm fine with you guys closing the hearing tonight if that's the wish of the commission, because you are the issuing authority. But I just want to reiterate Bill Stansfield memo. I don't know why it took him so long to post this, because we were out on the site weeks ago. But his number 4 does say that the applicant shall perform a number of soil test pits and provide DPS with the results. I can't answer whether or not the 11-year-old test pits are going to satisfy DPS, our environmental engineer. I didn't realize about the monitoring wells. I thought that those wells were for something else. I didn't realize those were for the groundwater, because typically, at least when I've been on site and we've done pits, we're looking for where the groundwater is. Am I completely stupid on this?
No. Well, the monitoring wells are just what they say. They're for monitoring, generally monitoring groundwater. Sometimes it's for monitoring for collection and sampling for maybe a contaminated site, but this is not the case. This is a natural site. I think the monitoring wells were, as Jack said, part of a previous filing. If I remember right, when CBS was going to go in that site, they were there, so the wells are still there. And so now we can collect data from those wells. And although no new test pits were constructed, the notice of intent that was filed in May of 2009, soil conditions were confirmed by on-site soil testing. So the site is a clean site. I mean, the soils don't change.
Okay, do you think so I'm not an engineer, so I don't know why he's asking these questions. If you feel comfortable, I feel comfortable. This is way better than a CBS would ever be. And I did just, if you guys were gonna stop, and before you made the motion, I do just want to reiterate a couple conditions, but I don't have to do that now. I can wait until you guys are done discussing.
Yeah. So based on Hayes Engineering's memo, to Bill. I think if I was Bill, if I had asked a question, I would have my answer. So I don't see the need to hold this up, in my opinion.
Through the chair?
I agree.
May I speak through the chair, please?
Yes.
I just want to remind the applicant, I did receive electronic copies of the revised plan. I have not received a hard copy yet. I don't know if that's in the mail. I haven't been to City Hall this week. I plan to go either tomorrow or Friday. I'm also still waiting for the legal ad check. It's lost somewhere in City Hall right now. I sent a City Hall email out. No one seemed to respond to me. So I may need a new check. I really can't, I have to hold this until that payment is made. I am on vacation next week. So I do just want to put the urgency out there. I need the revised hard copy plan. With that erosion detail, right now I don't have an erosion detail as far as I know, unless you can show me on this revised plan, Tony. Again, I don't have a hard copy of anything right now. The hard copy I'm working off of is the original one dated June 15th. And then I also just wanted to say, if you guys were if you feel warm and fuzzy and you think that the attorney Timon, if you think that his main concern, and we can let him speak to that, if it's through the hedges, that really is not a COMCOM issue, and that is something that they should discuss, aside from the commission, maybe at City Council. But I would say that the conditions would be adding the narrative about the burial with the no chemicals in on the body, and no chemicals in the wood, as well as no plastic on the erosion controls. And we of course need that erosion control detail. The hard copies that I just said, and I do not have a hard copy of the narrative in front of me, but I think maybe a condition, the unused soil, because we already have an enforcement action on Shirat Hayam they were taking the unused soil and dumping it into the wetlands. And I don't want that to happen again here.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think this is a great project.
I think also on the relative to if this is approved tonight, conditions, revised plan would show the new contours from contour number elevation 71. If we're going to submit a revised plan. The erosion details, although the notice of intent is very explicit and very detailed about the erosion, the installation of the erosion control measures, it's very detailed in the notice of intent, even though it's not on the plan. I do want to ask about the doubling up on the erosion controls because of the close proximity to the tower slope, to the erosion controls. I think there's less than 5 feet. And include, again, as Lucia said, including the burial process as a condition. I would certainly support issuing an order tonight. And that Jack would,
Yeah, I will reissue a new check. And Lucia, you are in the office on Friday?
Well, Jack, why don't you just hold on? I'm not going to work on this until the week of the 28th anyway, because I'm on vacation starting Friday. I do plan on going, as long as I feel healthy, I do plan on going in either tomorrow or Friday. Just because I haven't heard from anyone doesn't mean they haven't put the check in my mailbox.
Okay.
So it hopefully it's in my mailbox waiting for me or on my desk.
Okay.
And if you could, Jack, if you could reach out to that abutter that have some questions.
Sure.
Maybe that can be addressed real quick, real easily, and you can include that on the revised plan.
Was that what was the question from the attorney for the abutter?
No, that was some question that Bruce had relative to an abutter.
Mr. Chairman, if I may just address that briefly. So my client isn't yet aware of the hedgerow issue just because we've learned it tonight. And I agree that is not a matter under your commission's jurisdiction, although I appreciate the vice chair's comments regarding it and the other members' comments about it. So as to that issue, my client doesn't know about it yet. There's a lot of aspects of this that are not known or understood yet by the direct abutter, only because he's just very, very recently become aware of the proposal. I'm not going to repeat what I said before. I know that the commissioners have considered my comments from earlier in the meeting. The only new comment I would make is that I think, it would seem to be more conventional to wait for revisions to a site plan to be made, particularly those that are as important as the ones that you were, going through, Mr. Chairman, kind of on the fly in the meeting with regard to adjustments of elevation and the like. And so it would seem to me to be more customary to await those important plan revisions and then to, vote on the revised plan. But that's really all I, would have to say on the matter.
Well, seeing that, what's the wish of the commission? Do you want to close the public hearing and vote, or do you want to hold off?
I'd like to close the public hearing and vote.
Okay. How about other members? Where's my team? Where are you all?
I support that idea.
Did anyone want to conduct a site visit? I asked them to post out the 25 no disturb zone, but I mean, if you don't want to, that's fine.
Well, I trust your effort that you spent and your time you spent playing in the poison ivy. So I don't need to go to the site. The only thing I'd go would be to see the plants that Bruce was talking about, but I don't know if it's necessary for me anyways. So is Stu there?
I'm here.
What do you want to do?
Conservatively, I like to see all of the final plans before we vote. But if the commission feels it's comfortable voting tonight, I'll vote.
All right. Well, it's again. I'm in support of closing, but I'm just one person, so I don't make the motion, and I don't second. So I will. I think we have a good project, and I think we have a developing team here that certainly is willing to make some of these changes and address certain concerns of the neighbor. I think the data satisfies my understanding or my question about whether or not we provided the right information. I think the response by Hayes Engineering answers Bill's question. I can't speak for Bill, but I certainly support it. So I will, at this time, entertain a motion to either close the public hearing or continue it.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay,
Second,
second by Bruce. And you want to do a roll call then on,
Yes, Chairman Rizzo,
yes?
Vice Chairman Comack,
yes.
Secretary Lazaris,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi.
Yes.
All right, the meeting or the hearing is closed. The public portion of this meeting is closed unanimously.
Okay, do I have a motion to issue an order of conditions?
So moved.
Second,
Standard 1 through 47.
yes. And then we can add, no release of any order until you receive the revised plan with the contour changes and hopefully some feedback with Jack and the abutter to satisfy, or at least attempt to satisfy what the concerns might be. Hard copy of the plan, the erosion control detail, which is already detailed and described very well in the notice of intent. And double erosion controls along the perimeter where we have less than 5 feet between the erosion control and the toe slope. And the inclusion of the burial process, issue of a new check. I think that kind of covers it.
We do want to make sure that we have, that on the plan, there's going to be, and we are going to have, we're going to have granite markers that say there's a 25-foot no disturb zone.
Oh, okay. Those are not on the plan?
I'm not sure, but I want to, as part of the order of conditions, I'd like to see a 25-foot no disturb zone marked out with granite markers with our no disturb zone signs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea because I don't know whether people put flowers and things, but we don't want people throwing flowers out into over the wall or outside the area.
The other thing is the other point that Lucia made, which I thought was very important, is that and I don't see it as being a problem while they're building the cemetery, but as they clear areas, there's got to be some kind of, I don't know, and I don't know how to word this, but it has to be a topsoil or soil storage area that's not near wetlands. Exactly what Lucia said. We're going to have the same problem again that we had last time.
It should also be a in perpetuity feature.
That's right.
And the granite markers would be in perpetuity as well.
Correct.
And do you guys have like every 15 feet, every 20 feet? Is that something that the applicant would even agree to?
I think every 25 would be sufficient.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and we would agree to them, yes. And I think they're most necessary in the areas where the wall is not serving that same purpose. Is that correct, Tony?
Correct. So essentially from right here back, and I apologize for my chicken scratch, but this is how I'm going to remember how to modify the plan when I get back to the office. So
And so they'll be what, 25 feet apart? Is that what?
Yeah,
Good.
I think that's adequate.
yeah.
Well, it would be along the pathway because that is the 25 no disturb zone. So I think we should have signs all along the pathway so that people don't think
Yep.
that it's just over where there is no wall. Because it's much easier to throw something over that's going to fall down and no one's going to see it.
All right, we'll go. We can go the whole length.
Okay.
I mean, is that what it's going to look like every 25 feet? Because you're going to have a lot of them if that's the case. I mean, is there any sort of like protection from people walking along this from falling into the wetlands? Is there like a fence or anything, or like
No, that'll be down at that path will be at grade. We're looking at, so it's about 350 feet. So you're looking at 14 monuments. It's not a huge huge feat to mark that out. So it'd be, 14 monuments across the property. I don't think that's a problem.
Okay.
And we can put some signage, beyond the granite markers if you want something, maybe at the entrance points, protected wetland and protected wetland.
Yep.
So if anyone's walking on the path, that could work too.
That'd be good. Okay, so we're all set, right?
well, the motion is on the floor, and I believe Bruce made the motion, and it needs a second. Do you guys, before you make the second, do you want me to just reread it so everyone understands what they're agreeing to?
Okay.
Well, we already talked about the revised plan. I'm not even going to do anything until I get a copy of the revised plan. The revised plan needs to show new contours on the plan as discussed, and an erosion control detail showing it getting doubled up where there's less than 5 feet between the toe of slope and the erosion controls. And also on the new plan, there must be markers 25 feet at the no disturb zone on granite posts every 25 feet. And we do have wording. The wording normally is, I can send the wording to you guys, and it would be up to you guys to fabricate the signs.
Okay.
And then the motion was a standard order of conditions 1 through 47, adding the Muslim burial narrative, the no mesh on or any plastic on erosion controls, a soil condition that the soil cannot be dumped into the wetlands or in the buffer zone. And again, the granite markers would be in perpetuity. And I think that's it.
And you reissue a check. I don't know if that's a condition, but.
Yeah, no, just trust me, I won't give it. Jack knows. I won't release it until all the admin is cleared up.
Thank you.
But I won't be able to issue anything until I get that revised plan, and I'm going to make sure that you review it, Mike.
Okay.
So that was made by Bruce. So now we would need a second.
I'll second.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and do a roll call. Commissioner Rizzo.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Comack. Well, he made the motion, but I'll come back to him. Secretary Lazaris.
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Comack, you there still?
Yes.
Okay, so it's unanimous with all those conditions.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much,
all.
commissioners.
Okay,
Okay, and
Thank you.
attorney Timon, if I'm sure you're aware that there is an appeal process. So if you felt that this was something that you wanted to appeal, please ask me for a copy of the order of conditions, and that would be up to you to file with DEP and the city during that appeal period.
Understood. Thank you. I will be asking for a copy of that once it's completed. So I'll probably touch base with you when you're back after your vacation. Is that what I should do?
Yeah, I mean, you can write to me whenever, and as soon as I come back from vacation,
Sure.
I try to answer people in the order that they sent to me.
Right. I'll send you an email with my contact information.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the commission for hearing my comments.
thank you, Benjamin. Okay. Where are we? Number 8. Okay, number 8 is a request for determination of applicability. Public hearing on a request for determination of applicability submitted by William Manuel, Wetlands and Land Management, Inc., for Kevin Hoyle. Property owner is seeking confirmation from the commission that there are no area of wetland jurisdiction affecting the site. Specifically, there is a stormwater management basin on the abutting lot. We are seeking a negative determination that the detention basin cannot be constructed as a wetland. Detention basin cannot, right. And the property is known as 68 Prospect Street, map 39, lot 5 in the city of Peabody.
Good evening. Last but not least, Bill Manuel, Wetlands and Land Management. And my client has a purchase and sale agreement to purchase 68 Prospect Street. It was a former site of an MRI imaging facility, and it has a building on it, parking on 3 sides, parking or circulatory roads on 3 sides of it, and landscaping essentially on the rest of the parcel. It's about 2.7 acres in size. Lucia and I met on the property and we walked it, and it is plainly obvious that there are no wetlands on the 68 Prospect Street parcel itself. So we're asking the commission to issue a negative determination to that effect. Directly adjacent to the property is a stormwater detention basin for the Avalon Bay apartment complex. And we want the commission to issue a negative determination to memorialize that the basin was a constructed stormwater BMP, and it was not constructed in an area of Concom jurisdiction. And furthermore, it was not constructed in an area of historic wetlands. And if we can conclude those 2 facts, then the regulations direct us, or direct the commission, to find that this stormwater BMP is not an area subject to protection. So Lucia, I'm gonna share my screen. And this is the parcel here. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
All right, good. This is the Prospect Streets over here. This is an existing conditions survey. The building is here. As I said, it was a former medical, like MRI imaging building. There is parking over here, a pull up to the front of the building, roadway parking, additional parking over here, little like lunch areas over here. This area was grass, mulch area behind the building, and there was a wood fence. It was somewhat wooded down here. If you've ever driven up Prospect Street from Route 114, you know it's a fairly steep slope coming right up Prospect Street. So the slope continues. There is a residential road, Emery Street, just off the top of the plan here, with houses fronting on Emery Street. And then to the top side, same thing. There's a row of white pines, and then there's some mulch, arborvitaes, and then it gets into everything here is the apartment complex property on the south and the west side. So very easy to determine. There's no wetlands on this parcel, and we did walk around. We looked at the little cemetery over here, and it was obvious that there are no wetlands within 100 feet on around the perimeter of the property. So this is the stormwater management basin that's in question. It's a classic stormwater basin. It has, this is the sediment forebay. It has an inlet pipe right here. This is a constructed rock berm, and then any storm water would overflow into the collection area, and then there is a pipe that flows out of the basin. And the commission issued an order of conditions to construct this basin along with the rest of the Avalon complex in 1999. They issued an order of conditions for that. And I'm going to pull up the other plan. The quality's not great because we had to scratch around and find this plan from 1999. But here's the 68 Prospect Street site. This is the detention basin in question. You see it has a little more detail with the rock berm and the inlet pipe and the outlet pipe here. And then the wetlands affecting this entire project are way over here to the northwest corner of the almost off the site, kind of behind the, there's a new mini storage area, parking area behind, I think it's a Toyota dealership. And these are the kind of the same wetlands that affect the car dealership. But the important thing is here was the buffer zone. So clearly in 1999, when the commission issued an order of conditions, this was an area that was outside of buffer zone. It was clearly not a historic wetland. You can look at Google Earth photos, and this basin appears in 2002. So it was constructed post November of 1996. 1996 is important because that's the date in the regulations that says if a stormwater management facility was built post 1996, it wasn't built in a historic wetland and it wasn't built in an area of Conservation Commission jurisdiction, then it's not an area subject to protection under Mass Wetlands Protection Act. So that's what we'd like for you to memorialize, and that would settle any question that there's no buffer zone that extending onto 68 Prospect Street from this feature or any other wetlands on or within, and there's no other wetlands on the site or within 100 feet of the site. So that's what we're asking for, a negative determination.
Nice job. Nice presentation. Lucia, I seem pretty satisfied.
I know there are some people from the public that do want to comment. Just my only gripe was I would 100% agree with Bill Manuel that I believe he has proven without a shadow of a doubt this was intended to be a stormwater management facility. My only issue is, I don't know if you guys looked at the pictures that are on the OneDrive, but if you look at them, I can share my screen. I'm pretty sure I actually did post those. It is overgrown, and on the certificate of compliance that they did receive a few years ago, I don't know how any of us missed this or if it grew in, I think it was in 2006. Bill, do you remember when?
I think it was 2016.
So either in 2016, no one went out to the site, or it has grown in tremendously since then. I saw trees growing in. You would never think that this is a stormwater facility. It looks like wetlands. Did I post those pictures? Do you guys want me to share?
Can I ask you to share?
I'm gonna, hold on.
Through the chair, why can't we get them to maintain it now?
Well, we can, it's just that they're not before us.
I understand that, but that's not, well, I know that wasn't the question. The question is, it's still, it's not owned by Avalon Bay anymore. I believe Avalon sold that apartment complex to another entity. But we can, it's in the, I'm sure there's an O&M plan, and we can ask them to clean it up.
Yeah, we can. So this is what it looks like. So clearly there's an inlet. This is the outlet, I believe. This is, I think this is the stone, that the stone weir, whatever the what you just called it, between the forebay. So it, I mean, this is me standing in the sediment forebay and looking into the basin. I look like I'm in a jungle. And the landscapers were there when we were on site, and this is what they're doing. So, I mean, it's clearly a detention basin. It's some stormwater feature, obviously. It's just, if you look at it real quick, this is what it looks like. It's beautiful. It's a bit frustrating as well. So I don't have any contact information. I was kind of hoping that the applicant would get us that. I was also a little upset with Bill that he did not get permission from the property owner. And as a city employee, I can get in a lot of trouble if I don't have explicit permission from the property owner. So in the future, I need to have permission. I thought that that this request was from the property owner. I thought I had every right to be on site. So I guess that was really, those were really my only two issues with this.
Duly noted, Lucia. If I had was aware of that, then we could have easily seen this basin from our property line, looking from the property line. I apologize.
I wanted to go see it anyway. I mean, at this point, I'm gonna need some help from somebody at City Hall helping me get contact information, which I would say that's not the responsibility of Bill to get me that. It's something, it's gonna take me some time, obviously, to figure this out. I do believe there are a few residents still here, though. I'm not sure if we want to open it to members of the public at this point, or if you want to speak to the commission first.
Well, if there aren't any more questions from the commission, then we could open it up to who's in attendance tonight.
Do you want to ask them to raise their hand? I see there's 3 people. There's a Janice, a Jamie, and the first person that I unmuted during the meeting. I labeled her as 68 Prospect.
Oh, yeah.
Does anyone want to speak? Have any questions? Oh, okay. I am going to allow a Janice McDonough is asking to speak, so I am going to unmute her. Janice, you should be unmuted.
Yes, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. The only concern I have, I am one of the abutters that was listed on the diagram. And the concern that I had is, yes, the land does slope, and we are very concerned and always have been with regard to any water flow down into our properties. And so that's one thing with regard to, basins and water flow and water direction. It's something that has been a problem with a number of the homeowners. And we want to make sure, for my case, that it's a problem that I continue to avoid.
You want to speak about that, Phil?
Well, it appeared to me that the rear of the building was graded such that this detention basin actually serves the 68 property as well. There is a swale. Let me just share my screen again. You can see how the land is graded here, and it captures at least this portion of the parking area and directs it to this basin. So I'm not sure how the rest of it works. It kind of looks like everything wants to collect and then run along the back. I don't know how efficient it is, but we certainly, I don't know what the plans are for my client purchasing the property. So I really can't speak to any future water issues, but it looks like, at least in this part, the land is graded to accept the runoff from the parking lots and the buildings and send it to this stormwater management facility.
I mean, certainly sending it to the stormwater management facility would be important. Certainly, whatever your client's use of the property would be important to know, because there must be something there that he's hot on before he signs his purchase and sale, having this declared not a wetlands area. And I guess if it's not declared a wetlands area, that means that he could build more likely than not in this area, which again might have the outcome of bad water flow to the neighborhood.
Yeah, that's, well, right now there's no project before us. We're just doing the request for determination.
Yeah, but you know what I worry about that, Mr. Chairman? I worry about that because, you know, it's kind of, people like chip away, and they kind of get, you know, as much as they need, as quickly as they need, and then they get the whole project that they want. So I think it's important to kind of see the project in its entirety, because that might have greater clarity as to why it is so important for the applicant to seek what he is seeking this evening.
Yeah, through the chair. They can't alter that. No one can alter that structure. He's just trying to get it. He's trying to get it declared not a wetlands. So there's no wetlands. There's no wetlands buffer area. It's as simple as that. There's no secret as what he's trying to do. But he can't build in that area. Doesn't matter. I think you should know that.
I have a question. Do the abutters currently experience flooding or rain runoff that is difficult to manage?
I don't know if am I unmuted still?
You're unmuted.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if Jamie is on the line, because I know a number of people have had to install French drains and things of that nature in order to take care of water in this area. So I can't speak to it personally.
I have unmuted Jamie hair up. I just, before she speaks or he speaks, I would need to know their address. I got your address of 8 Emery Street. And just to piggyback on what Vice Chairman Comack just said, the stormwater facility, no one could build on the stormwater facility. I believe that's what they're here for, is talking about the stormwater facility. What is going to go on at 68 Prospect Street, whatever, this old MRI, I think it is 68 Prospect, not to be confused with the Avalon or Essex Apartments. None of us can say right now what the proposed use for his client is going to be. But I would imagine that would be, if they're going to do some significant earth removal and change the use, I would hope that would trigger something, but I can't say for certain. All I can say for certain is that no one can build where that stormwater management facility is. And that's really the only reason why we're here tonight, to confirm that as a stormwater structure and not wetlands. But I did go ahead and unmute Jamie. I just would need to know their address before they speak.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, just wanted to check. So my name is Jamie Harrop and I own the property at 12 Emery Street. So it's actually right next to the Angelo Romano property that's currently on the screen.
Over here.
Yes, that's my property. So I think just to answer the question that I believe the secretary raised, a bunch of us have had to put kind of remediation drainage systems into our property. So we do have a French drain that's off to the side of our property and pumps in the basement. I think there's various other systems like that across that line there. We do seawater. Thankfully, the items that we've put in place have helped to mitigate that as long as they continue to work, and we put a lot of maintenance into that. But I think, I just share the concern that Janice has about the building, and I understand that that's not what's before the commission today. I think my concern about what is before the commission today is we would also be surprised to learn that that is not a wetlands area by the overgrowth that you see, that you were showing in the pictures. In fact, that's better than what it has been. About 3-4 years ago, the owner of the property actually cut down a lot of large trees. There's thorns, vines, and in fact, you would think it was a wetlands area, and our wildlife in the area certainly treat it as that. So I don't know if it's possible for a stormwater management facility to turn into a wetlands if it wasn't previously there historically. But given the growth, which I understand needs to be cleaned up, it certainly does collect a lot of water seasonally, and is frequented by a lot of wildlife that spills over into our neighborhood.
The only question I have beyond is if the wetland, I'm sorry, if the stormwater system is cleaned out and maintained properly, will that minimize the amount of water going onto the abutters?
This is Bill Manuel.
Yeah.
I think the stormwater basin over there is probably, one of the, Jamie just said that it would look like about 4 years ago that it was cleaned out, and that would have been a good guess if you looked at some of the pictures that Lucia had put up there, because most of them were fairly, you can see the stems on the shrubs that were there. They're mostly black locust and staghorn sumac. They're not that old, so it's probably right at the precipice of where someone would come in there and do a maintenance cut and clean that out again. So everything in there was all an upland species: the goldenrods, the black locust, the bittersweet. And that's what happens when you do repeated cutting. It kind of lets the invasive species get established in there, and once they're established, it's a never-ending battle.
But once that's cleaned out, again, will that function better?
It would obviously function better, yes.
And does it have to require, again, you're not the owner, but do we have to wait 3 or 4 years, to clean it out? That's the.
No.
It should be done regularly, I guess. And
Could
it's not,
incorporate that into, when we were there was a landscape crew, when Lucia and I were there was a landscape crew working on the grounds, so.
but they weren't cleaning out
But they were not doing this area.
And the issue is not every place that we have done a subdivision that required a detention basin, no one maintains them. It's a citywide issue. So it's like we should come up with some, find the owner and have them maintain it. It won't hurt the butters either. They have a better system.
Is there anybody else wants to speak on this matter?
There's one more person, but it's the person that I unmuted earlier. I for some reason I cannot unmute them. It's driving me crazy, and I do not know what their name is because I just wrote in 68 Prospect. It will not let me unmute them.
Sorry,
What?
it's actually me. It's Jamie Harrop on. I had to call in and be on the computer. I was having some issues, so apologies.
Okay, good. I was like freaking out. I was like stressed out. Great. So there are no more, there's no one else. Everyone who is in the audience I promoted everyone to a panelist to speak. So.
Okay, so everybody is finished. What is the wish of the commission? I'm of the opinion that this would be a negative determination for this property.
I agree.
So do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion to close made by Commissioner Vivaldi, seconded by Vice Chairman Comack. I'm going to do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Comack?
Yes.
Secretary Lazares?
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi?
Yes.
Okay, so the meeting is closed unanimously.
Do I have a motion to issue a negative determination of applicability?
So moved.
Second.
Stating it's a detention basin and not
Yes.
a wetland,
Yes.
correct? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo?
And
Yes.
Lucia, before you make that roll call, also stating that there are no wetlands on 68 Prospect Street.
Does someone want to redo that motion then?
Move a negative determination and state that there are no wetlands on 68 Prospect, and it is a detention basin and not wetlands.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do a roll call. Chairman Rizzo?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Comack?
Yes.
Secretary Lazares?
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi?
Yes.
Okay, it passes unanimously as a negative determination stating that it is in fact a stormwater basin and there are no wetlands, so therefore there are no buffer zones. And I do just want to speak to the two residents. If you want to send me an email, since this is now will be out of my jurisdiction, you can send me an email, and then I mean, I don't really know the proper channels of what, if he's deciding to do something on this site. I would imagine that the reason why he came here is because he has plans to redevelop this site. And if that's the case, if it's commercial, they are going to have to meet stormwater standards. I don't know, if they're changing the zoning, that's probably something that might have to go to special permit in front of city council. So I just, if you want to reach out to me and I can try to help you in the future, it's just after tonight, I'm really out of this, but I have no problem trying to help you get to the right person if and when there is a future development.
Won't they be, they should be notified of, as direct abutters too, if there's any activity on the property.
Do they? I don't know.
They typically are. They notified of any kind of building permit activity, planning board activity.
I mean, if it would trigger it, I mean, I don't know what triggers it, because like if, you own a house and you're putting a deck on, the only reason why it would trigger your neighbors to get notified is if you're not meeting the zoning ordinance. So I don't know what his future plans are. And it sounds like they're a little nervous about, their property getting damaged, and it's completely understandable.
Yep.
Because this basin has nothing to do with this site. I guess that's why I'm a little confused, because the original Avalon Bay was labeled 68 Prospect, but then this file's labeled 68 Prospect. Does your Bill, does your client, it's 68 Prospect, not the abutting property?
Was it subdivided?
The MRI is not 68 Prospect, is it?
No, it's 68 Prospect Street, yes.
The MRI place?
Yes.
So how is Avalon Bay also 68 Prospect?
I'm not aware of the history of how the properties were divided, but it must have been at some point been divided.
So does his property, does he drain into this basin at all?
What's the address?
Yes.
Because if he does drain into the basin and he's changing things, then that would trigger Concom, because if he's going to add more pavement and more water to the basement, it would trigger us.
Apartments in Peabody.
But I guess that would be at a time when we know what's happening. I'm sure I'll be able to get eyes on it again. I mean, right now, Bill, does his property, does anything flow, his stormwater go into this basin, or is this, I was under the assumption it's strictly for Avalon Bay.
No, it appears that a portion of 68 also flows into that basin.
Okay, so is he aware that regardless of if we call this a detention basin, if he's trying to direct more water into that, then that's going to trigger a filing with the commission?
I'm sure he's aware of that, yes.
Okay, so this isn't just going to wash his hands of the Concom. I just want you to know that if he's going to be adding more asphalt and adding more water that this basin clearly is not capable of taking on right now, then they're gonna have to redesign that whole basin. I think that might be what the two abutters are touching upon.
The purpose of my filing was only to establish that the basin itself was not a wetland and there are no wetlands on the property. So.
Okay, so to the two ladies, I would say if you want to send me your email, if you want to just email me, my contact is under the Conservation Commission page on the website. And then if and when I get plans to look at, when this gets developed, we can touch base then. So I won't know until I see what they are proposing on the site. But I would imagine he's definitely, or they are proposing something, because otherwise they wouldn't waste their time coming to the commission.
Hello?
Yeah.
What happened to Lucia?
I'm here.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay, then we finished this, right? We did the roll call.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, we haven't finished the roll call, did we?
I believe I did.
I think we did the closing and the voting.
Okay.
Well, you changed the motion, I thought, and then we didn't do the second roll call.
Okay, so right now it's a negative determination. I mean, did you guys also want to add that, you know, that now that we just, if they are going to be transferring any more water into that basin, it would be jurisdictional to us. Because that basin was created for a certain volume. And if he is going to go ahead, I don't want him to think he's gonna, I mean, unless I'm wrong, but the way I understand the regulations is that that basin was constructed for what is there now. If someone goes and changes anything on either property, Avalon Bay or the MRI place, that basin has to get recalculated to contain that runoff. Am I correct when I say that?
Unless they're decreasing the amount of water going into it.
Yes, which I doubt that's the case.
I don't
So
think
do you
so.
guys want to put that in the motion that if there's any increase of runoff into this basin, that the Concom still would have jurisdiction? I think that would keep the two neighbors in the loop, and we could still keep our eyes on this.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I thought the motion, I thought all we're deciding now is that that's a detention basin, not a wetlands. And that,
But it seems like new information has come into, new information has come through.
We can still have a negative determination, but have a condition. And the condition would be that it's on file that this site does feed an existing detention area.
On an
That
adjacent property.
any changes to the flow characteristics or amount of runoff to that detention area would make this subject to.
Concom review.
Yeah.
okay, that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
So now I will do a roll call adding that condition. Chairman Rizzo,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Comack,
Yes.
Secretary Lazares,
Yes.
Commissioner Vivaldi.
Yes.
Okay, it passes unanimous with that one condition that any changes to the water flow into the basin would trigger Concom approval.
Any additional increases, right?
An increase of water flow. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
my handwriting's terrible.
Any increase of water flow.
Right.
To the basin.
Correct.
All right, so that should satisfy those two residents as well.
Okay.
And, that's it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bob.
Good evening.
Okay. The last item on the agenda is under enforcement orders.
That's continued until next year.
Okay.
I just left it on there because with the pandemic, I feel like I have to keep some things on the agenda. Otherwise I will forget them. Like I forgot about 60 Warren Street. That one is still on my mind. I actually woke up in the middle of the night thinking about it. The last thing on the agenda is only the June minutes. I am still in the process of drafting the August minutes. And then we do need to decide on an October date.
I'm okay with either date. So the 2 days you picked, I could forget what the 2 dates were, but let's see.
They were, give me 1 second. I think it's the last two Wednesdays.
It'd be the 21st or the 28th.
Yeah.
I'm okay with either one.
What about you guys? The 21st or the 28th? I mean, well, the 28th might run into like trick or treating for people who have kids. I don't know. I'm fine with either one. I think even if we did the earlier one, still having my vacation, I should be able to get back in time to be able to do everything. I already have, the agenda's already full at this point. So it's really up to you guys if you want to push it to the 28th or if you want to have it the 21st.
I think I'd like to have it on the 21st.
Okay,
21st is fine.
yep, I'm good with the 21st.
Okay.
That's fine, 21st.
All right. And then the last item is just the approval of the June 24th minutes.
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
And I don't think we need to do a roll call for that. What do you think?
It's up to
Raise
you.
a hand.
Yeah, if you, I mean, I'll just do a roll call so you guys don't have to put your pictures on.
Raise
Well, I'll
hand.
do it. Well, actually, Bruce made the motion, Vivaldi seconded it, and you guys raised your hand, so that should be good enough.
Okay.
Otherwise, if there's nothing else, we
Now,
can finally adjourn.
You need me to sign those, don't you?
Yeah, nothing's gonna get signed until I come back from
No
vacation.
problem. No problem. All
I
right.
have been signing. I think I signed the May minutes for you, or I think the May minutes are just, everything's just sitting on my desk at work. So the most important things were getting the signatures for, you know, the permits. But
Okay.
thank you for the reminder, Mike, because yes, you should sign it. I think I might have signed the May one for you.
Okay.
With my signature, you know.
Yeah. All right, then, if that's it, we can motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Good night.
Good night.
Wait, you gotta second it. Hold on.
Sorry about my absence earlier.
It's okay. I definitely need a roll call for this though. So who's the second?
Vivaldi.
And I am gonna do a roll call. I'm sorry. Chairman Rizzo,
Yes?
Vice Chairman Comack,
Yes.
Secretary Lazares,
Yes.
and Commissioner Vivaldi.
Yes.
Okay, the meeting adjourns at 10:16 p.m. Thank you guys.
Alrighty.
Good night.